Hello, Deca members. My name is Sarah Sunny, and I am Texas Deca District 7's president. And today I have a very, very, very exciting guest, especially because Texas is, in my opinion, the best association, but we won't say that. It's fine. So I am very excited for today's guest. I will let her introduce herself. So you can go ahead and just say your name, your officer position, how many years you've been in Deca, all that different stuff.
Hello, everybody. I'm Christy Zhuang. I am the state president of Texas Deca, and I have been a part of Deca since my freshman year. So I've been part of Deca for 4 years now.
Mhm. And we were just previously talking about this. School has obviously been an interesting thing to start for a lot of things. And a lot of schools in Texas are starting their homecoming earlier than I thought they were going to. Ours is
Yes.
like in mid-October, I feel like, unless I'm completely wrong, but it is a little bit later. So I do kind of like to just start with talking about you. Obviously, I've met Christy before. I know her and I've spoken with her. She's obviously spoken at TLS and has been a very big inspiration to me as an officer at the district level. So, other than the fact that I obviously look up to Christy and I follow not only your Deca account, what you literally just posted, but also just everything that you've done for Texas Deca has been incredible.
Thank
You've
you.
really, really done so many great things, and especially the entire state officer team has just put in so much work. And I don't know if we were able to say this very much, but the district officers definitely see it and we appreciate it. And we use those resources as much as we possibly can. So, just a quick thank you for putting in all that work. But go ahead and talk about your journey, kind of where you started in DECA, even in high school, and what brought you to being the president of the largest DECA association.
So my journey, obviously, it started during freshman year, right? Well, as a freshman, I was very shy, did not like to talk to people. So being on a Zoom right now is kind of freshman me would have been like, no, you can't do that. You wouldn't be able to do that, you know? So we had a freshman orientation night where we get to see like the clubs, what Ballinger has to offer. And I was like walking, and Miss Gibbs, our DECA advisor, stopped me and was like, you should join DECA. And I was like, what is DECA? Like, why? At first I liked it because I was like, ooh, diamonds, blue, gold, favorite colors. And then I was like, oh, business. I might want to go into that. And
Mhm.
starting out freshman year, you still have 4 years of high school and you don't know what you want to do with your life. So DECA was a great organization that introduced me to business, and that is what I'm going to major in. So thanks to DECA, I have real world experiences in business. And after my freshman year, I competed in testing.
Mhm.
Not that testing's bad, but I personally am not good at it whatsoever. I'm not a test taker. I found that out. I made it to state, but it just wasn't anything to be proud of because I was like, I didn't do as good as I know I could have done. Turn around my sophomore year, and that's COVID year,
Right.
and we did community, no, yeah, we did community awareness project. I had to think about it. I was like, I'm not a senior yet, but I am. We were international finalists that year, and of course,
Congratulations.
thank you. We didn't get to experience ICDC because it was virtual.
Hard year.
So last year, my junior year, I did EBG, Business Growth Plan, with my photography business, and I also made it to ICDC. And I saw you on stage, Sarah, first place class. So that's just a little bit about me and how I started DECA. And then I ran for office my sophomore year, like going into junior year for office. So kind of where you are right now. And
Mhm.
at first, state was not in mind. I was just like, no, I could never. State's like way out there. I'd have to talk to so many people. But having that role as a district officer really helped me experience things that helped me become the leader that I am today. And I feel like this year's district officers are way more active than the district officers that we were whenever I served. Because y'all are being active on social media a lot more, and y'all are posting like competition YouTube videos and like sharing things. Like there's like a natural resource park or something that I think district 5 posted, but everybody's been really active, and District 10 is even posting, and they're in El Paso. So it's like seeing that everybody's kind of working and giving, they're taking what they learned and putting it into action really says a lot. And it's just like, wow. And it's like, there's no greater gift than seeing like you helping others motivate them to become the leader that you know that they could be, and seeing them live up to their potential and continue to grow as that leader. So that's my favorite part about this entire thing, is watching people blossom, go
Mhm.
from a shy like freshman like I was, and then just bloom and talk to people, get to know other people and expand their connections. So that's my Deca journey and my Deca thoughts.
And when I was first elected for district office, I obviously wanted to make some sort of a difference, to show something substantiated that you could prove that I made an impact on this organization and on the district that I've been in charge of. And the problem was that I didn't have a set plan when I first started. I knew that there were things that I wanted to achieve, and those were essentially, my campaigns when I ran for office. But it was hard to realize that there are different resources that are available to you that you might not have been expecting, or different, rules that you have to follow. So I didn't know exactly how I was going to get from point A to point B until we went to TLS, because creating those plans, those ideas for what we wanted to achieve throughout the year, planning out our community service projects, all of those really contributed to us being able to formulate social media plans and continuously do things with chapters. So really the amount of engagement that all the districts, I would say, that have been doing, which I will say the social media content has been great from every single district, all of the introductions. We recently just posted something about Deca Plus. So it all kind of comes from learning from others. And especially since the state officer team has so many officers that served as district officers, you guys understand kind of what position we're in.
Yeah.
And the fact that we were able to do that and to be there in person, that was obviously a big deal. And to have somebody that was looking after you, almost in a sense, that was like, we know what you guys are going to want to do. Let me help you get to your goals.
Yes.
And in whatever capacity that might be in, whether that be in an officer position or just as a competitor, even your local chapter officers, if they're willing to just be there and say, I've gone through this and I'm going to help you get from point A to point B, and we're going to do it. We're going to go hand in hand, and we're going to make sure that your goals and you do ultimately succeed if you put in the work, is just something that as a new member, especially, people need. But also, in a way, when you first run for a higher level officer position, you're kind of a freshman all over again. You're doing it for the first time. I was not out of my element, but I didn't know what to expect. I knew that first was the test, and then there was interviews, and there were different steps in the process, but I didn't know what it was going to be like if I actually got elected. And I definitely was not expecting to get president. I was like, maybe vice president, possibly. And then I got it, and I like freshman year, I had no idea I was going to run. It wasn't ever something that I would consider. But I think you just come to love it more when you're actually in the position. And especially, like you said, you had the opportunity to grow with it. And you're a phenomenal leader now. Like, that's just something that comes, at least to people around you, that comes naturally. And that's a really commendable attribute and thing to have done and to gain, I think. So that just like, that's another congrats, honestly, because it takes a lot of work to kind of get from that spot, from not knowing anything, to being somebody who can confidently say that I'm where I am today because I put in the work.
Takes about 4 years. High school.
About 4 years in high school, just putting in
About
the effort. But no, I do think that it just, while I say that you can manage the stress and you can obviously have the time management aspect of it, it does require work too. It's obviously something that's a commitment and requires responsibility. But it ultimately, for me, has become something that I love to do. I love talking to members. I love being able to, in any capacity, even if it's like just talking to them about who I am and what I've done in Deca, because I think that creating those connections has become my favorite part about Deca, and also the ability to grow. But I think those go hand in hand. You just meet new people while you experience new things. So correct. I don't know this, but when did you start your photography business?
I started about last year, 2021. So it's been going on for a year now.
That's really impressive because you have so much success in your business in that's a short amount of time. We kind of go from having it as a hobby almost to just taking it into something that can be a full-fledged business. Would you say that Deca was definitely one of the strongest motivating factors for you to actually pursue that business?
I would say that Deca definitely helped me get it started
Mhm.
and map out my financials and get things in order. But I've always liked photography. I
Right.
just didn't understand how to work a camera. And when I finally like got a hold of a camera and learned, I was like, oh, like I already know how to do all of these business things because like we do this in Deca. So
Mhm.
Deca just added on and it helped me become like a business owner. So I definitely think DECA has played a crucial role in my business knowledge and how I operate my business.
Right. And there's just so many people that have so many different passions. And, when if you would initially tell somebody that I'm interested in photography, they wouldn't assume that DECA is the organization to be a part of. Because I think it's actually very interesting because I've said multiple times I'm very interested in medicine and science and looking at STEM professions. That doesn't mean that business skills, regardless of what you want to major in, aren't going to apply to what you want to do. In some instances, it may result in a very successful photography business. In others, it may be the ability for you to open your own practice or to have the ability to talk to a client. So that is probably what I have gained the most from the organization, and just kind of knowing that I can go up to somebody that I know and I already have a connection with and get a job interview or go in and get an internship. So it's just kind of what I think is the most impressive part about the organization, unlike any that I've seen, that really allows you to make those connections.
Yeah, what's so great about DECA is that business is everywhere. So DECA is preparing you for the future, no matter what career pathway you go through, like medicine, like you said, or social services, or STEM, or
Mhm.
anything like the sciences, like anything that you are wanting to do in the future, you're always going to need a little bit of business knowledge. Like
Mhm.
it's always going to be around, and DECA really prepares you to do that in the real world.
Mhm. And so this next question is more about you being an association officer. So what is it like to kind of be in that position, especially in your capacity being a state president, attending different types of things, obviously, and managing that with other things because you're obviously very involved. Your photography business is just one aspect of your schedule. You have so many different things, and you did say that your workload was a little bit lighter this year, but you're applying to colleges. You're still busy. So, what does that kind of look like? But also, what's the experience like being an association officer?
So like being an association officer, I don't think of myself as the president. I like to think that our team is all equal, that we're all vice presidents. Because honestly, we wouldn't be anywhere without each other. You know how you have to rely on your friends, your teammates, and they've honestly made this whole experience so much better. Because all the laughs, all the memories are there because I have those friends, Arshia, Ria, Anuya, Anthony, and Anakit. They literally make our whole team.
Mm-hmm.
Just working with them is such a pleasure because Anthony is known to have sass, and
Yes.
he's known to put all of us in line, and he's known for his roast and everything. And it just makes working with them more interesting, and it makes getting the work done like a lot sweeter in the end when we get it done. And it's just like it's never a dull moment with them.
Right.
That's kind of like with you and your district officer team. I know that that's pretty interesting, but at the end of the day, you all become like best friends, and
Right.
those are connections that last a lifetime. And just being a state association officer, you get to look at things at a larger aspect. I
Yeah.
think instead of thinking for like your chapter, your district, like you're thinking for all of Texas DECA. And it's like, what would the members want? What do the members need? What would they want to see? So we're constantly like asking ourselves, like, what did we want as members? Like, what did we want to see? What could we have used? Because in the end, it's our job to serve you guys, the
Mhm.
members. That's the whole reason that we were elected in the office. So we try to remind ourselves every day, and we are constantly thinking of new things like how are we going to do this to make our members better or more equipped in the future to do these events or to go out and get jobs. I know Ria is working on a career cluster quiz where it matches a competitive event to a job profession. So that way you could do an event that you're interested in and could do that job in the future.
Hmm.
I know Anna Kit's working on updating the Thrive in 5 videos, where they're competitive event videos that tell you how to thrive in that event in 5 minutes from extinguished alumni that have won in the past. So I know we're really trying to help our members in the best way possible. And I kind of got completely off topic from your question. I
No,
don't
so I mean,
remember.
it still applies. It's still talking about what the reality is of being an association officer, and the resources are there and they have been very successful. I know. So we had a few meetings. We had a role play meeting today, which 30 minutes was not enough to talk about all of that. But we, especially at our officer training day, where I and myself and our vice president at Wakeland, we talked to the entire officer team and walked through resources. And one of the things we looked at was the Texas Deca resource almost drive inside of the website. And there are almost endless resources there. And I think initially they were so kind of blindsided by the idea of Deca Plus. They were just like, wow, so pretty, brand new, that they're like, oh, wait, they're Texas Echo resources? And I'm like, yeah, they've been there the entire time. That's why we're walking through them. And they're just genuinely so useful. And obviously those have been accumulated by for years, just from other officer teams as well. But one thing I have noticed is the interesting part is, especially being a part of an association officer team, especially in the state that is not only population in terms of membership, but also just how wide the state spans in terms of location. You guys are literally located in different parts of the state, like completely. I mean, there are a few exceptions, but it's interesting that you guys are just, I mean, not interesting, it's realistic that you guys have become so close, but you don't see each other every day. And that's literally probably the most amazing part, that I can have a friend from 2 states down that I don't see until I see them at a conference. And then we're immediately like, oh my God, you're here. So
Yeah.
with you guys, you're in Ballinger. And then
Hmm.
you have Aniket and Arshia, who are in Frisco with me. And then Houston. And it's all over the place. But it's also amazing because when I see you guys post pictures together, especially like at ELS, y'all look so close. And I think I mean, obviously, there are times when you have to put on the professional face and speak in front of members in a very planned out manner that may not seem, you guys are being very interactive with each other at times, but you guys all worked on it together. But then right after that, you guys were laughing and sharing jokes. So I think the best way to contribute to a successful officer team, but also a successful association, district, whatever that might be, is to be close with your officer team. And it
Definitely.
comes naturally for the most part. It's just something about being elected with a group of people that are going to put in the work to do a good job makes you want to be friends with them.
Yes, and it's like the commitment, and it's like we all ran together, so we all like know how we felt, and we were all like there for each other.
Mhm.
So it's really just like we relate to each other, and we're all so different or like unique in our own way that makes what we do interesting. And it's like we don't see each other for a long time, but there's a quote that's saying the heart grows fonder with the distance. So every time that we see each other, we definitely cherish those memories. And it's definitely a laughable experience. And I hope we can look back on it 20 years from now and be like, do you remember when Anthony did this? Or there was this neat time we were at TLS, or we were preparing for TLS, and I know we were getting snacks. Well, Anthony and Anakit just got a few snacks. Like me, the girls and I got like lava cakes, pizza rolls. And Mr. Schenkel and Mrs. Dry all looked at us like, y'all do know that, like, y'all aren't staying here for long, right? And we're like, well, what if we get hungry at midnight? Like,
Yeah.
So that was hilarious. And I'm looking forward to, 20 years from now looking back and be like, we really did that when we were younger. Like we really bonded in such a short amount of time and are still connecting with each other now.
Hmm. So so you mentioned that you competed in a few different events. Are you sticking with EBG this year?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Okay. So what are kind of your general kind of very general tips in terms of how do you be successful in competition? And
So I can't tell you tips for testing because obviously that was
right.
not successful.
I couldn't tell you anything about a role play. I will be very
I
not.
did role play. It wasn't bad. It was the testing part that got me.
Yeah,
It,
tests tend to get kids.
not a tester, but written events, you definitely for your paper, you want it to be interesting.
Mhm,
I use Canva for mine simply because there's more like ability to move things around, different fonts, a wider range than like Word or Google Docs offers. I try to stick with the 2 to 3 color theme. So you
mhm,
kind of theme your paper. Have a theme for your entire paper, whether that's like a modern theme, a contemporary, or a
mhm,
vintage theme. You want it to go with your business. How your paper looks says a lot about your business. I know a friend of mine, Corey Cavazos, she's doing a startup business plan and it's about like vintage jeans. So her paper is going to be like vintage theme with vintage fonts, which that all makes sense and it correlates. So with mine, I try to stick with 2 to 3 fonts,
mhm,
all the headings being the same font, a font that sticks out, rather compared to your body paragraph, which could be Montserrat, the official,
mhm,
text font. Um, but just things like that makes your plant or makes your paper look clean and really nice and professional. It's the little things that end up mattering in the end. And I know my 5-year growth plan is a tripod. It's
mhm.
like a tripod on a camera. It's like a little graphic and it
That's
shows
so cute.
arrows.
Yeah.
Because, a tripod has 3 legs, correct?
Mhm,
And then there's that piece in the middle before it gets to the camera. So step 4 would be the piece in the
yeah.
middle, and step 5 would be the camera. So it's just like unique, interesting things that you really want to incorporate into your paper. You want graphs, you want little graphics because I'm sure nobody wants to read 20 pages
Right.
that's,
Of just
you
white and
know,
text. Yeah.
it. And you really want to make your executive summary count because I'm sure judges have a lot of papers to look through.
And that's
And
so streamlined.
your executive summary is kind of like the first impression. You want them to have a first impression of you right off the bat, even though they might not know who you are. But you want them to start flipping through that paper and be like, okay, this is interesting. You want to get their attention from the get-go instead of getting it pages in. Because then after that, you're going to lose them. It's just like a first impression where you lose somebody after the first 30 seconds. That's how I like to think of it.
100% agree. I think that's pretty much what we decided to stick with the entire ideology of making sure that your paper and your business do coincide with each other. So I've mentioned this a few times on a few different episodes, but also just in general. No, all of our products that we've done for startup have been technology based, medicine technology based. And we try to reflect it with making sure that our color scheme coincides with whatever kind of body system that we're doing. So cardiac is red, those type of general ideas, but also making sure that there are graphics that reflect a patient and a doctor or something that if we're talking about kidney disease and something with a kidney. So it seems like obvious things at the beginning, but when you have such and it's something especially in 10-page papers you start to realize really fast that you don't have enough space
Yeah.
and you want a lot more space. And I really wish, I mean, do I wish this? Maybe like 15 pages is what I wish for startup, maybe not 20. But you do wish for a little bit more space, especially with the graphics and making sure that it still looks aesthetically pleasing according to your business, or even if it's not a business, whatever that might be. So you still don't ignore the aesthetics. I think that's something that people get lost on. They want to put all of the information on there, but your judge might not even start, like they might stop reading if it starts hurting their head after a little while and the executive summary is just words, they're just going to be like, no,
Yeah.
because it doesn't reflect that you're able to encompass an entire actual sales pitch almost, because your paper is a written sales pitch, and if it doesn't look appealing to a judge in whatever capacity, whether that be the content, which is obviously still very important, but also at first glance, nobody wants your business if it doesn't look pretty.
Mhm.
So I think that while it is kind of secondary, you want the content to be good first, the meat of it. The toppings are what people look at when they're about to eat a cake. So that's just kind of the general things. And I think just for presentations, having those soft skills, being relatively confident, or not relatively, you should be confident what you're saying, know what you're saying. And handoffs are probably, if you have a team, the most important thing, because you could be sitting there for 5 minutes before your partner speaks because they have no idea they're about to speak. So those are kind of the most general tips with prepared events. I know that a few people on here have given more specific stuff related to their event, but with written papers, the rules are generally the same. It's just kind of nuances in what the categories are. So those were really, really great tips. And if you follow them, you should be successful with your papers, because
And I know
the
for
final
me, I don't know about, well, for all of you photographers out there, like aspiring photographers, I did my color scheme in like a neutral beige, a light brown, and a dark brown. And you might be wondering why. Like, why brown? You know, like that's a horrible color to put your paper. But the paper was white, but the other texts were all like a cream color, a brown, and a light brown. But why? Why is that? Because when you're taking a picture, pictures are full of color, correct?
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't want your text to match the colors in your picture. By making your text brown or black or like a beige color or a cream, that makes your photograph stand out and it catches the judge's eye because obviously they're not looking at the brown. They're looking at the colorful images that are on the picture. So that was one thing that I did that I was like, this is going to get your attention. Just watch.
Right. Yeah. For us, I think we bolded numbers and graphs, made sure that a lot of times in graphs that I've seen of other people's paper, it's just blocks of numbers. And trust me, if I'm looking at those blocks of numbers, I am skimming through all of it. I am not reading every single intricacy of what that person's financial plan was, because it just looks like a heap of numbers to me. And math, no, don't want to do that the entire time. So I think we kind of like separated it in different shades of colors to show here are the totals, here are the categories, just to make it more appealing. Obviously, the numbers have to be there. They're not going to stop being boring. Numbers are what they are. They just show what they have to show. But they're just little things that you can do to try to make it a bit easier for a judge to to kind of ingest and look at. So that's just kind of what I would say for tips. But as for you, Christy, you talked about some of your favorite moments in Deca, but what would you say? See, we kind of talked about fun, but I want to hear your funniest moment. And I'm assuming this one might include Inferni, but we'll see.
My funniest moment? I don't know. So much has happened. I do know that after after the PCM, so that the district presidents attend, Anthony and Annika and Arshia, I think they stayed on
Uh-huh.
after I left, and they would send a video of them talking to the group chat, and it'd be like, um, September PCM of just the three of us, like the district officers didn't show up. So
No.
it's like an ongoing joke for like 2 months, and
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't seem funny, but it's like,
Yeah.
but
In the
then when you
moment,
guys
it's
talk
just
about
like,
it, it's like, oh, really, really, guys.
yeah.
So it's those jokes that kind of make you like laugh the most. But Anthony can entertain everybody. I mean, that guy, he's got jokes and he will keep you entertained for forever. And Anthony's just a really fun and bubbly spirit that, you enjoy being around. Our whole team enjoys having somebody like him because I think we're all kind of toned down just a little bit. And Anthony's like a little higher than us with energy, and he's like always getting us going and always getting us laughing, getting us pumped up to like present or do whatever we need to do.
So you're a driver,
Yeah. Well,
are you?
all four of mine were equal, so I don't.
Oh, really? That's really interesting. I thought you were a driver. I thought I heard you say that. Well, I guess you are. You're kind of all four.
Yeah, all four. It was all even, so I was like, I don't know what I am. I guess it's good
Well,
to be.
talent. That's good.
Yeah.
So is Inferni an Energizer? Is that his
Yeah,
number one?
I think so.
Maybe. I don't
I
know.
mean,
That's very
I
interesting.
I remember it being up there
It
whenever
was
he.
definitely one of the two, but those were the quizzes that definitely, for some reason, were very accurate. I think initially going into it, we were like, nah, this isn't going to be real. This is just going to be one of those surveys that you take on BuzzFeed that don't actually work. And then we took it, and I was like, well, looks a little bit accurate to me. So I was like, that seems about right. But that's actually, yeah. Okay. Actually, no, I see the all four. I see the, I was like, wait a second. Yeah, that makes sense. But last thing that we're going to talk about today is advice. What are kind of your ending remarks advice for members and in any capacity, whether that be competition, just talking about their time in Deca, whatever it might be?
I just think that you get out what you put in into DECA. So however hard you work is however much the organization is going to give back to you. I truly think that it can change lives. I mean, it changed mine. I was a shy freshman and now I'm a talkative senior. So it definitely does give you a lot of opportunities, but it's up to you to decide whether you want to take them or not. And if you want to maximize your momentum and take it to the next level or even get the edge, like it's up to you to make that ultimate decision to do it. Because in the end, you are what you do for yourself, but you can include DECA in your journey to make it that much sweeter. And I just think that DECA gives you all the necessary skills you need. It's not like any other organization. It's special. DECA is special, and it takes special people, aka all of us, to be a part of DECA and to make DECA what it is because of all of us and the future members and the past members, DECA is what it is because of all of us. And
Mhm.
I think that each and every one of the members, whether you see or not, you all leave a legacy and you all are a little part of DECA's story, and we all are a part of a bigger picture.
Mhm.
And whether that is somebody else or us motivating somebody else to run for office or us motivating somebody else to join DECA, all of it matters. And I think we all are on the same level. I truly think that. I don't see a difference between me and you being district and state. I think that you are just as capable of doing things that I'm doing, and I think that I'm just as capable of doing things that you are doing. I
Mhm.
think that all of us have the has the same capabilities of being great. It's just whether or not we decide to utilize those tools and resources that have been given to us to be that great. So
That was amazing advice. Let me just say that. Also, I feel like I need to quote you on the part where you said next level, max momentum, and get the edge in one sentence. That has got to be like the best second sentence I've ever heard.
thank
Um, so, but I mean, Christy comes up with good Deca sentences in general, the C to Z with
just
Christy.
oh yeah, that just came out of nowhere. I was
That
like,
was
okay,
perfect.
like my first name starts with a C and my last name starts with a Z. So what if we went from C to Z? I was like, wait, why
Yeah.
run C? And I was like, I was just thinking my little moment.
My favorite picture of you has got to be the one when you were campaigning and you have Texas Tech State president or office or something behind you.
Huh.
Don't
Which
tell
one?
me. Really? Hold up.
You
Oh,
might have to send it to me after this. I
yeah.
There's a lot of pictures. I've taken so
It's
many.
like no, it's your best Deca picture, in my opinion, in my very professional
Oh,
photography
are
opinion.
you talking about me with the theater in the background?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that one's amazing. It's perfect.
Thank you.
Did you who took that?
A friend of mine, Amanda Hill, did them. I
Mhm.
was like, if you're gonna do headshots, I cannot be caught slacking because I own a photography business and it'd be bad if my pictures are bad. So
Yeah,
like, they gotta be good.
no, they're amazing. But it was great speaking with you, Christy. I am going to hold on to you for 1 second after I press end on this, but that is on episode 5, I think, of Spotlights with Sarah. Thank you so much for coming here again. You were an amazing guest, and obviously one that I had an amazing time speaking with. I learned so much not only about your Deca journey, but also the intricacies of Texas Deca and stuff that I didn't know before. So, with that being said, tune in for episode 6 whenever that comes out, and I will see you guys in the next one.